I mean, and it's often like if I come up with an idea, I'm excited about that one today, and then tomorrow comes and that's a new day, and it's kind of being able to fix something. So in answer to your question, nothing is particularly fixed except, actor network theory, I think, is fundamental to the discussion. And I've done some stuff on Ponty to do with, hybridity and, embodiment. And I think that also is kind of part of the story. And it's just it's about sifting, isn't it, really?
Yeah, that's tough. If active network theory is kind of the foundation, then how can you begin to ignore these theoretical actors relevant to the project? When you're wanting to discuss holistically everything that's involved. I wonder if it becomes even as much a methodological experiment as it is about the VW.
Yeah.
I mean, because it seems like you have a very personal relationship with the VW, obviously, but your way of thinking and your way of describing the experiences could be, I'm sure you could deploy it around any given object, a paper cup. I can imagine a sketch that you did about a paper cup, and it's got just as many associations, so that I wonder what's the kind of generalized takeaway? Is it more methodological, or is it more some sort of nuanced perspective about VW's counterculture or subculture?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what you say about the idea of universality. If you create a methodology that you can kind of import across. I would argue that particularly, I mean, yes, you can fall in love with lots of different, the teddy bear your mother bought you, or whatever it is. We have kind of direct kind of connections with the material world, and project onto them or have those associations. These camper vans specifically, I think it's the relationship between home. Nostalgia has a big part to play in how people kind of conceive these vans, because these vans have a history. You buy into that history. So there's lots of other kind of rationalities why you might have extra additional attachment or sensitivity to it. But you're right, you could think about other kind of, things in the world.
Yeah.
A house you lived in all your life, or your grandmother did, or whatever. It's not necessarily linked to mobility.
Yeah, I guess all I was saying is that to me, it seemed evident in your drawings that your way of thinking, like, I would just imagine that maybe you would pontificate about a number of things in a similar way.
Yes.
So.
I will take that one away and try to figure out how I can work with that one. Thank you.
I wondered if actually your keenness for doing drawings could be exploited even more if you were more rigorous about drawing the van itself and drawing all of its details.
Right.
And obviously I speak from a particular position, and that you might find that would structure your thoughts. If you've structured it physically, would it structure the content?
Because again, these are just initial drawings, right? They're not fully developed. No, I'm not divine. Sort of style, but it could be a possible way of, obviously I'm very interested in the written word, but I naturally, I guess, because I come from art school.
Well, I think you can say a lot of stuff with drawings that it would take you reams of words to say, and actually draw it, and you think about it in a whole different way.
Yes.
Same with you guys, actually.
Speaking of drawings, I'm struck by how nostalgic all three of you, the topics and the approach. But speaking of drawings, for example, it's really interesting that your drawings are hand-drawn, architectural, yes. The traces of the, I mean, they are real drawings, meaning they're text, they're physical drawings. So there's a kind of nostalgia in there. And I think also the idea of the home, the nostalgia for depth and the main street, the staircases which have disappeared, and I guess the soil which is not here anymore, the first talk that we heard. It's really, there's a kind of desire for something absolutely
missing. I don't know, because nostalgia suggests that you're yearning for something that was, Whereas, I don't know, speaking for myself anyway, I'm definitely talking about something that is. I'm not, it's not a dream of something that, I don't think I'm nostalgically painting
Maybe
a beautiful
nostalgia
picture.
is a tainted word,
Yes.
but in its positive incarnation, there is something about the Main Street which was there before it became measured and abstract and invisible, that you're trying to revive, so or return to.
Yeah, that's true.
So there is a nostalgia there, and it manifests itself then in the, for example, in the way the drawings are made, or in the kinds of things you choose. The woman who had been living there for all her life, and the kind. That's I just comment.
Oh, interesting observation.
You know, relative to your drawings as well, which I really appreciate. I'm a student of architecture too, and so I love to see drawings. I'm curious how big these drawings actually are.
Small.
Small drawings, okay.
Yeah. Very much constrained by the submission.
Yeah.
Obviously an A4 thing, possibly with fold outs.
Okay.
And those drawings are probably about this size,
Okay.
but they don't really exist. I think I might have even thrown them away.
Yeah.
They only exist digitally
Okay.
now.
Okay. And moreover, I would like to see, just personally, if what you were suggesting, that maybe Sharon could benefit from a more rigorous structuring of the drawings, I think that potentially you could benefit from loosening them up a little bit, or at least starting to accumulate some of these narratives that you're describing in the drawings themselves, rather than being so strictly measured. I mean, I love the axiometric drawings, and it really does something for showing the simultaneity of the spaces and the activities within them. But I think that you could draw in, I don't know, in conceptually kind of collage things in there, you know?
I think you're completely right. It's like you're channeling my supervisor,
Yeah.
and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Because I think that everything that you spoke about could exist in one drawing. I mean, it would be a massive drawing. It wouldn't be one of these little ones, but it would be a massive drawing that you could pore over for hours, and that would be amazing.
That's certainly an ambition. But I'm just a bit frightened of drawing.
Yeah, for sure. I totally understand. I totally understand.
I thought it was very just to talk about you guys' drawings though. What's the topography of Cincinnati? Where are the hills?
Right. Here's the basin, right? And that's where it started. And then surrounding the basin, which is the downtown area now, it's hills all the way around it, aside from the river that's on the bottom. So so it's basically surrounding it, except by that river boundary.
So if you had a map where you only plotted the staircases, it would effectively be a map of the hills.
Yes. Yes. Actually,
plus some other aspects.
One of the photographs that we showed, it was one of the fourth photograph in the beginning, when we were going over, Cincinnati. Here's Ohio. Here's Cincinnati. This is the landscape. And the last one, it had the lines on it. That was actually all of the staircases in the public stairways that were located. So it was what you're talking about. Yeah.
I have a question, comment for Sharon. I related to a lot of what you said around the emotional connection you have with your vehicle, because I've been living in an RV since July this year, traveling non-stop, so I have no home except for this vehicle. But I see the big difference there being that I live in an RV and you're living in or you're traveling on a weekend, I assume?
Yes, that was the idea.
Yeah. The difference I'm seeing is that you're very attached to the product of the brand of the VW. And I just wonder how much that will play into your research, the branding and the advertisement, because it has been decades and decades and decades of selling the stream to urban people. I'm just wondering if that will be how much of your thesis that will pick up.
Well, methodologically, I feel I attempt objectivity. I create I feel I've created a detachment through using autoethnographic methods, right? So, and also I hate that ban, whereas many other people love it.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say that that would skew the results as such, except I don't buy into the philosophy that most people buy into. So it gives me a different perspective.
So you're more critical, you feel?
I'm
than a lot of
completely
these people
critical
that
of
are
it,
reading?
and you
Yeah.
know, and so on and so forth, right? Whereas most owners are not, whether they just deny that
Yeah.
it's difficult, or they simply do not see it as difficult. So there's different kinds of things going on there within the narratives, and I'd like to think that methodologically I'm protecting this idea that it's not Sharon's diary. You know,
yeah.
do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's meant to be research, although it's of a kind of, there's an autobiographical element of it, but it's backed up by many interviews from you know, other campfire owners who have other different ideas about it. Although there's lots and lots of parallels also, and lots of you know to do with all those themes that I've kind of like tried to talk about. Your RV though, have you got an emotional attachment to it?
No, if somebody told me that, you know, the engine was loud and it was going to break a lot, I wouldn't have, you know, gone for it.
Good way. Yes, just what we need.
But I can see why people look at those
So
vans.
do you live in it by choice? Or is it like an economic necessity?
No, it's a choice. I mean, it's facilitated by my partner's work right now. He's a computer programmer and he works remotely. So we thought, this is our big chance. I just graduated, so we hit the road, and we've been doing that since July.
Wow.
Yeah, mostly down coast of North America, the West Coast. So seeing places we've never seen, seeing all the places in between.
That's funny to think about that experience linked with the occupation of computer programming.
It's actually a big thing.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense, you know, when you say it, but
Yeah.
without putting them together, they wouldn't seem, you know,
Oh, I know.
coherent.
I know, but it's facilitated by, you know, the access to Wi-Fi, so
Yeah.
it has been.
Oh right, it doesn't run it off 3G.
Yeah, well, sometimes the sites, the campsites have it, but we have a little device we take with us everywhere. It's crucial.
Well, are there any other final questions? We should probably wrap up soon here to make it to the closing comments.